Welcome to another Wellness WOWday. I am joined by another fabulous femme who has kicked ass, changed her life, taken it from burnout to complete resurrection and transformed the journey to being unafraid and achieving absolute greatness. God.
Oh,
With that intro
thanks.
and her Wonder Woman stance, I think you need to do your introductions. I don't need to say anymore.
Thanking you, Liz. Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show. This is Mark 3, actually. A little bit of a hiccup the first time and then again the second time, and I'm so sorry. So I am Dr. Nupi, aka the Glitter Practitioner. And yes, I claim I am a burnout warrior. That name, that title is me from having been through burnout. And I love Diana, daughter of Hippolyta and Zeus. I love Wonder Woman. Not not to say that I'm a Wonder Woman, no, jeepers, no. But it's more about standing for truth, standing for justice, standing for the right level of healthcare.
So,
And
if that's correct,
yes,
every single one of us is a Wonder Woman.
yes, we are. We are. We are, absolutely. And that's exactly what I guess I'm doing is empowering other people through my FLIS framework and how I practice medicine and do my coaching and work with clients is empowering somebody else to truly understand their whole self health needs, mind, body, and soul. And when you know what they are, know how to keep them in balance and replenished and topped up, that's when you are aligned with your true self. And when you're aligned to your true self and you're following your things that make your heart sing, your passions, your purpose, holy moly, you really do become limitless in your potential. And that is this. You can actually do anything and create the life you desire and deserve. And I'm living proof of that, as are my patients who I've shared this with and my clients via coaching. And I love, ugh, I could talk about this for hours, but yes, we are all Wonder Women.
See, I'm still sticking with the Xena. I'm sorry. She's my
No,
badass. Yeah,
no.
Xena Warrior Princess.
I
Cut,
suppose
cut.
she's a bit more badass actually than my Gal Gadot, obviously. Um, yeah, I kind of, yeah, she is more badass in fairness, but
Yeah.
yeah,
We're
mm,
getting sidetracked because we're here to talk about your wellness journey. And exactly, we're going off on Wonder Woman. So, guys, if you are with us, please stick with it because there is a story. Okay, we have this. She has this amazing story of how she let
thanks.
out her inner warrior. Okay, this is not us just going sidetracked and everything like this.
No,
There is a
there is a
passion and purpose
purpose.
behind it
Yes, there is.
because you hit burnout.
Yes, I did. I did. And that
Tell
was,
us more.
so that was 12 years ago now. And I know I'm giggling and stuff, but it really truly was the most hideous, the most painful, horrific time, to be honest. And it really did it really did just creep up. It was bizarre. You kind of just think, no, I'm okay, I push through, keep going, keep going. And I know it was my perfectionism. I'm a reformed perfectionist now. The unrelenting standards, seeking approval, needing to please, all of this stuff, which was linked to essentially fear of failure, fear of rejection, and the heaviest energy of all, really, was shame. And I can see that. I could see that. I can see that now.
Mm.
But at the same time, the perfectionism in me, I guess, just it was like, right, no, just keep going. There's nothing, just keep going. You can do it all. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do this. And I think at the time, looking back, I didn't, I'm giving my energy to left, right, and center. Yes, please do take. Yes, yes. Have it all until there's nothing left. And I certainly wasn't replenishing. So when I actually did crash and burn, I was ignoring the signals in my own body, the aches and pains, the fatigue. I put the fatigue down to, oh, it's just the twins, their sleepless nights, broken sleep and stuff. but it was just so much more than that. And I think frazzled, I love that word. It's one of those words that sound, and it sounds as it actually is. And the definition of frazzled is utter, complete bone exhaustion, physically and emotionally and mentally. And that's exactly what I was. I was complete. I was beyond frazzled, actually. I was like this burnt out sparkler and that's it. I was empty and I was so disconnected. It was awful, but I wouldn't change it for anything. It really truly was my blessing, and what I've learned, or what I learned from that, has just completely transformed my life. But at the time, yeah, it was pretty awful. It was horrible. It was horrific. I just remember feeling like I was in this black hole, and there's this constant loop of name, shame, blame, all of this critter chatter, like your inner critic just literally having a field day. And at the height of burnout, I just didn't want to be here anymore. I really just couldn't see my value or my worth. And it was thoughts like that that really kind of shocked me a little bit, actually. And, you know, at the same time, I could do for other people, but doing for myself, unheard of. Oh no. Well, that again, big learning and a big journey, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
So you said obviously this was all 12 years ago, but of course you obviously said that there's this sort of phasing time of when it was, say, shit and getting shitter. In complete layman's terms.
Yeah,
How
basically.
long was it that things were just like slowly going
so that
down
was a
that
good
rabbit hole?
Yeah, good few years, I'd say. And that's exactly what my specialist said to me. She's like, you know, typical medic almost. You do put other people, your patient's needs come first, and you don't recognize it in yourself. And it was ignoring, really. I wasn't tuning into me. What are my needs? And it was like a very slow thing. I'd say 3 or 4 years, to be honest. But I think predominantly it was in the previous 6 to 8 months before. It was just getting harder and harder to keep the "Hi, I'm okay" mask on the whole time. Yes, everything is fine. And, people would say, "Oh, you're so positive. You have this wonderful energy about you." Yeah. And inside, and these are close family, my husband. And I'm like, inside, I'm like, do you not see I'm a friggin' weed? I'm just shriveling in front of your eyes. But part of the problem was also I had a part to play, and it was not being able to assert my needs or speak up or share openly. This is what I'm feeling right now. It was all very, just keep blocking it down. Just block it down because, you just keep going. And that is exactly what I did. I can see that. And, it was the tiny things. It was like the sleep. And I put it down to the twins, say, or the aches and pains, this absolute fatigue. Again, I just put it down to, well, what else am I going to expect? The baby's a little, I'm working back in as a GP partner. Of course, my life is going to be busy. I am going to be tired. But it was really this recognition towards the end that I didn't even recognize who I was anymore. And I'm normally somebody who's, full of bubbly and fizz and, energy. And I was like, who are you? What the hell? That's the thing that really made me see.
There, like, keep pushing these little things down. Was it because, you said like tiredness put down to the kids. Was there a part of you thinking, oh, this is, if I say something about this is weak, or someone's just going to tell me just to get on with it, or?
Yeah, big time. And it was very much this ingrained thing of, well, of course you're going to be tired, and of course it's going to be like this. Suck it up and just get on with it. It didn't occur to me to do what I would do now, say, for example, or what I would say to my patients. And that was the thing. I remember a good couple of months before I actually did stop, seeing in clinic, you know, my extended mum baby clinic, and about two or three mums actually, who were struggling, trying to work with the baby and having issues and this, and mood wise not great. And I'm saying to them, okay, you need time out and rest and this, and it's really important, da da da. And it wasn't because I couldn't see it either. It was more, I remember three, one after the other, and I just remember this flash thought of, damn, you know what? I think if somebody actually said this to me, somebody who I trusted, somebody as good as me who's tuning in to these bits, do you know what? I think I might listen. And it was a fleeting moment. I didn't really listen. I was just like, but I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm coping. It's okay. Yeah, it's crazy how powerful your mind can be, and how it can really keep you there. And
So I'm
oh,
going to ask,
yeah,
you obviously talk about the mind and the sort of the cage we build in on ourselves. So this
mm,
story that, and we progress it. And of course, the deeper we get into this story, it's like
yeah,
being lost in the woods, right?
yeah, yeah.
What broke you out of your cage? What was the final thing that kind of made you go, I've got to change this?
It was this moment of, I'm driving home from work, and just this heavy, really just, I can't, I don't know how I'm going to keep doing this. And I remember driving, and I remember thinking to myself, I could just turn the wheel this way. And, you know, who's going to notice? Who's going to miss me? Who's going to notice that I've gone even? And it was these are the thoughts that made me go, okay, come on, stop. You need to look after you now. And that's exactly those were the things that really just, enough's enough. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't keep it in anymore. I just couldn't be asked to keep my mask on anymore, in fairness. I was like, well, I'm not okay. And that's exactly what happened.
So we got through this car journey. I'm going to keep probing, because obviously if other people are listening who have felt this way or starting on this
Yeah,
journey,
yeah,
because obviously we can hit a burnout point, catch ourselves, we'll take a week holiday or we get signed off for a
yes.
week.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
And we catch
Sorry.
ourselves.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean we're on the road, the right road then. It can sometimes just be that uplift that you need to actually just keep killing yourself in many ways.
Yeah, you're right.
But you saying you had this car journey, this affirmation that I need to put me first. What was your first steps to sort of start putting yourself first? Because was it talking to your husband, or did you,
Yeah,
make a
it was
choice what you're going to change?
yeah, absolutely. It was this realization that, oh, bloody hell, I am so not okay, and accepting that, actually, because I've been pushing it down for so long, and changing certain hours and to make it better, or having a week off to make it better, and it was a bit better. These are the tiny things that obviously helped. But the truth is that you can't keep pushing down. It's going to explode at some point. And that is exactly, it was accepting it, acknowledging it big time, and accepting it, and then allowing myself to ask for help. That's what it was. And what I remember going over to a colleague who used to live quite close by. I was still registered at a GP practice, which was in a completely different area, except I never needed to have a doctor myself. And I wanted his GP because he'd spoke very highly of him. And I went over to go, hi, can I have the contact details for your GP? And I just thought I'd let you know I'm not really myself. I'm going to see if I can tweak my days off next week, blah, de blah. And then I'm just in floods of tears. And I'd already booked an appointment with the therapist who I started to see. I'd already actioned it all. It was just like, that's what I know how to do. And he was like, honey, it's fine, just take 2 weeks off and see where you get with this. And I was like, oh no, after crying for about an hour, I'm feeling so much better. I can come next week. It's not a problem. And he was like, just take 2 weeks and see how you are. blah, blah, blah. Made the appointment with the doctor, made the appointments, which took ages, actually. It was just this, oh my God, what's going on? That's how dissociated you can feel. And 2 weeks turned into 5 months, but I allowed that process. And I think that is exactly what got me through this. I surrendered. I didn't try and doctor myself almost. I kept me out of it. I was exhausted. There was no other way, to be honest. And I listened because I was still a perfectionist as well. I listened to all the advice going round me. And I remember feeling very proud of myself because my specialist said to me, you know, you've been running on empty for quite some time probably, and you've gone past your reserve tank. You've actually gone way beyond that, and it's just your mind, your body's going enough. And he said, you know, if we're going to do this, let's do it once and do it properly. There's no point dipping your toes in the water and coming in and out again. And I'll never forget him saying that, because it's words that I also use with my patients and clients. And it's so powerful because do it properly. Allow yourself to be helped. And I think I surrendered to that because he said to me, physicians, doctors are the worst. Hi. They're the worst. And because there's this internal battle of, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. I'm a failure if I stop. It's seen as a sign of weakness because you're conditioned right from med school onwards. Go, 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 go. I'll turn the mic off. 1 second.
But this just shows how any live recording or video feed is never as smooth, no matter what you're talking about or how in depth. But the one thing I think we'll pick up on there before you sort of thing is because obviously you're talking about surrendering to the process and the fact that this is going on and asking for help. Yeah. But what you've also said is, which may people have gone, oh my God, it's going to take that long, because you said 5 months. Because remember, it took us time to get there. You won't get back from there overnight. It will take time to move back.
Yes.
But surrendering doesn't necessarily mean I've got to quit everything and just take 5 months off and I've got to, you know, whichever.
No.
What does it mean as somebody who's lived through it?
So surrendering means you let go. You let go of the crap, the critter chatter, the chains, all the barriers that you've almost, these stories that you're telling yourself. I'm okay, I'm okay. No, tune in and acknowledge what you're really feeling. And that is absolutely okay. You can get help. You reach out. You're not alone on this. And that is the most powerful thing. You can gift somebody and really ask them, how are you? I'm okay. Really? Truly? Are you okay? Because this. And you're signaling to somebody, I'm hearing you. I'm going to hold that space for you. Tell me more. That's crucial. And then the surrender is not, oh my God, I give up. I give up. Here's a white flag. Yeah. Surrender is, I let go of all the things that have been holding me back. I let go of all my things, that the negative thoughts, etc. Just for now. I know I'm not okay. I will allow myself to be guided. I will allow myself to be helped. That's the surrender. It's getting out of your own head, tuning into your heart space, and allowing that process to happen. It's almost like I'm broken. It's my spirit, my soul felt broken, but I surrendered to that. Yeah, it's all fragmented, but that's how you sort of start letting that love, that light in for yourself. And you're not holding on to your beliefs anymore or anything else. So that's what I mean by surrender, which takes courage.
You know, I'm going to be pulling this thing. So, okay, so let's look at your support network. Okay, because obviously there's 2 parts here. There's the things that you do for yourself and the story that you're telling yourself and how you express your emotions on that side. And then there's a support network. Okay, because obviously you're saying, like, obviously you've got a loving husband, you know, so you obviously told people, but you weren't telling, it wasn't say common chit chat you have over coffee, was it? It's kind of, you had a few people that you were really talking to who were aware of the subject, and you had very open conversations with them, I'm guessing.
Leading up to it or during my
So like you're
recovery?
sort of, when you've hit the point of, you've gone through I said through the car crash, to the emotional crash in the car.
Yeah.
Let's put that. So when you're, and then you're coming through it and you're going, I need to say I'm not okay. I need the support around me.
Yeah.
Did you choose certain people that were really sort of key for you to sort of lean and have these
Yeah.
conversations with?
Kind of and kind of not, because I was numb. I was completely numb and I couldn't speak. I was so withdrawn into myself. It was only through accessing the therapy, accessing my doctor, that started to lift, to be honest. But you're dealing with ingrained patterns which take time to start shifting, and it can feel, oh my God, I don't feel any better. But slowly but surely, it's just keep on putting that one step in front of the other. And yes, I was very lucky, very blessed to have had the support I had, my partner, but sometimes as well, I couldn't express still. So yes, I had that support, but I wasn't able to still speak openly. But I couldn't really figure it out for myself. And yes, there was a couple of friends who I would say, but I really kind of did this. I just couldn't really be around people. And it was that whole process of learning. It's like starting from scratch again, to be honest. And that is exactly why, working as a doctor, as a family GP, there are so many people who don't have a support network. And this is my cohort of patients who I've looked after for 17 odd years, which is why this was so important for me to come through and go through my journey. And I knew I'd be sharing it in some shape, form with my patients, because people can't access the level of support perhaps, or you're waiting within the NHS for, and this is pre-pandemic, 10, 12 weeks for any psychological intervention. And even then it's kind of scratching the surface. And that is exactly how that's what inspired me to create my F list, this framework. And it's everything I learned, experienced for myself, the tools, the techniques, all evidence-based. And actually further, it was just this awakening. And I'm like, holy shit, it's mind, body, soul. Of course it is. And I'd always knew this subconsciously, but it really woke up consciously. And that is exactly why, it's one of the reasons why I shared it and still share it, because people aren't necessarily going to get this level of whole person centered care. It's the whole point.
And the thing you've mentioned there about, obviously you were shutting people out because you couldn't quite express yourself. But I'm at a guess there's a level of going, you when you recognize that you're not okay, there was a thing you could say to people, I just need, give me a minute, whereas before you probably would have just gone, I'm fine,
Yes.
shut up.
Yes. Yes.
It was that sort of, I'm going to acknowledge this, but I'm not
Yes.
talking to you about it. So
Yes.
that again in itself is a shift. But
Yeah.
let's talk it from the recipient's end, because as
Yeah.
soon as, say, you found somebody, you're in that moment of just going, I just want to, and just, because obviously there is, when we talk about recovery, there are moments where you do have outbursts
Yeah.
of something. And people on the receiving end, because it can be very hard to receive if someone's going, I'm not okay, because we can stand there going, oh shit, this means I've got to, right.
Yeah.
Did you ever experience that? Or did you find some people who have like taken back and they go, okay, let's.
Not really. I don't think so. No. I think I could only be around certain people, to be honest. And it was very, I can see now it's sort of going into sort of protect mode
Mhm.
and security. And that was here and just a handful of people. And a conscious thing of going, this is okay. This is what I choose. And I'm going to allow myself to do this. It was almost, I had no choice, to be honest. And I just literally just let it happen and just took each day as it came, each day. And that's when I started journaling, actually. And that's when I started sort of putting my thoughts down, which was a huge help. And it always has been. And that's exactly, these are the little things that helped along the way. And I remember my therapist saying to me, you know, it's really important, you know, your baseline needs. So, you know, physically, you know, food, fluids, all of this stuff. And he was asking me about my hobbies, and I'm like, what hobbies? I don't have any time for hobbies. And he was, and I said, I see a friend maybe once a week, every 2 weeks for a coffee. And he was like, okay, that's fine. No problem. We can work on this. And I remember towards the end of therapy, and he was like, okay, we're really scraping the barrel now. I think we're done. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I really enjoy our conversations and this. And I came in with like 3 pages of, this is what I love. And I love doing this. And I'm singing again and painting and da 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 da. And it was just such a contrast to that beginning bit of my journey to where I got to. And that's exactly why I share this story, because, you know, you might seem okay. And it's acknowledging that it's right, it's okay not to be. And yeah, being comfortable with that. And that's not you that's not you failing. That's you being your most vulnerable self. And that's very, very powerful.
Well, that leads us perfectly, because obviously we were talking mentioned a bit about others. Now you're talking about things that you did yourself to sort the outlays and how they obviously grew. Because one thing I do on Sundays, I always have detox time, so I have no tech, right? No, you know, no TV. I put the radio on if I want to listen, but I can't. No screen time. Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
sometimes I
good.
sit there and I'm like going, okay, what do I do? Right. And it is sometimes I'm like, yeah, I want to do this and I want to do this. And I'm like this. And then some, you know, we all have those weeks where we all feel
Yeah,
a little bit of this. But I'm adamant, this is no screen time.
yeah,
And of course, when you're saying about the things that you were going through, this is that sort of feeling of going, but on a daily basis of going, I need to do something, but I don't want to do any of it. Am I right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's the whole point. So at the beginning, it's recognizing, and this is how I explain it. This is exactly how I experienced it and how I explain it to other people for their frame, you know, for them working through this is right now your mind is going to constantly go, I can't be asked. I don't want to do that. I know that's going to help me. I don't want to do it. So it's starting with those baby steps and really looking at the things that you loved doing. It's the best place to start, because 9 times out of 10, you loved doing it. You're going to love it again. And I'm not talking big things. It's learning to be still as well, and allowing these feelings, these thoughts to come and go. And that takes time. And it's like anything, consistency and practice, but also tuning back into the baseline needs, which is food, fluids, fresh air, physically, and ensuring like a tick box that you're doing those things. So it becomes ingrained as a habit, because most often than not, when you're not feeling well, be it physically or emotionally, these are the things that you stop doing for yourself completely. And it's bringing that back in, which is why I put it on like a holistic prescription. It's part of the prescription. And that's very powerful to say, well, the doctor told me I've got to do this and have some fun once a week or every few days. It registers because somebody else is giving you permission that this is what you need. And that's really, really, again, That's what helped me. That this is what your needs are, and this is that you just keep doing baby steps at a time. And then learning about your thoughts.
You can cook, and it's great fun.
Yeah,
Even meal
absolutely.
prep. Did you find as well, because doing the things for you, did you find yourself going, I don't want to do this, don't I? Okay, just 5 minutes, and giving yourself like just a small window? Were you finding that you were running over that 5 minutes quite happily, or at 5 minutes you went, no, I'm stopping? How regimented was it for you?
It wasn't regimented per se. It was, first of all, finding, okay, what do I like doing? I can't remember. I actually don't know. And then it was just allowing myself to discover that again. And it's having that curiosity to go, oh, I used to love painting, like paint by numbers as a kid. And I used to spend hours doing that. So I thought maybe that's okay. I'll get some of this in and just start trying. But yeah, it's not easy at all. It's a bloody hard process, which is why it is the whole process that you go through needs to be as simplified as possible. I'm not saying it's simple, because it's not, but if you have almost like a roadmap of, okay, have I eaten today? Have I drunk any fluids today? Have I had some fresh air? It becomes automatic. It helps your brain recalibrate, essentially. And yes, this is sometimes you do need more than just this framework. Some people who are really struggling with their emotional mental health, absolutely, we use medication side by side. But the core foundation is this, because when you do come off treatment, for example, if you're not aware of these mindsets and you don't know how to shift them or allow yourself to feel and experience this, it's always going to come back. It's always going to keep on biting you in the ass again. So those first few appointments are crucial to show somebody and to understand it's okay, and this is the path. Yeah.
You mentioned, so I'm picking on all your points. I'm trying to keep listening, because you mentioned medication very briefly there, and I think this is something which would be nice sort of points to close on, because some people, even for pain, it's like, okay, if I've got a headache, I'm just going to take paracetamol, which, okay, it will mask the pain and it can assist the process, but you made the key point that it's part of the process. It's never the one solution. Now, in your journey, obviously, you can say, obviously, if medication was medication part of your journey, and would you recommend people start there sometimes, or would you recommend them looking more holistically, or would you always recommend the two start together?
I don't think you can separate, and I know not everybody feels like this. That's fine. Depending on the level of your distress emotionally, so if we're talking about anxiety, depression, it's what you're able to do. It's actually how it's impairing your functioning. Take that 5 steps backwards. And this is how I would say this to my patients, is pay attention to what you're truly feeling and notice what's going on from here. It's learning to become present again, because it's when you name things after noticing them, you've got half a chance of reframing them. You can observe it for what it is. And it's the back scenes to actually what's physically happening. So more often than not, the things that bring people in, say, to the doctor, is that manifestation physically or emotionally. It might be, oh, my partner has told me to come in because of XYZ and this, they're worried about me. So it's really, you have to, your body gets so loud, you can't actually, you've got to take notice. And it's at that point that you recognize, actually, you know what, this is the root cause. And this is what's been going on in my life. So this is why that has been happening. And it started to trigger, and understanding that, because that is the key to recognizing it for the future. So it depends, somebody's presenting with acute anxiety or low mood or worse, and it's recurrent and it's getting to the point where you're having really dark thoughts, that's really scary. And that is exactly why I want to encourage people to check in on people who maybe have withdrawn, if they're normally quite bubbly and positive, etc. Check in and hold that space just for a little bit and guide them at least to the right support networks. There's so many different things out there which are free, confidential, and it's just keeping that encouragement going, because you're going to be seeing a healthcare professional who knows exactly how to handle this. And yes, at that stage, with all the best will in the world, I'm talking about, you must eat your food and your fluids and your fresh air and la la la. You need to act, you need to assess that for what it is in that moment in time. More often than not, it's usually a combination, and you can't separate it. I don't feel you can separate that holistic side from the science side. Combine the two together from the outset, because that is your whole health. It's not just physical, it's not just emotional, it's all of it. And once you know that and understand those baseline needs of how to keep yourself in balance, that's when this starts flowing and it becomes automatic. And it's incredible to see. It's incredible. It's amazing.
I'm going to send you a little bit of the studies I have showing about depression, how exercise can actually be a better antidepressant than medication.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And that's exactly what I say. Absolutely. And that's, again, on my F list for a reason. Movement is 100%. It releases endorphins. These are all the positive things that have come from studies that have been done. Same with mindfulness. There's a reason that's like first line intervention, so to speak, on the nice clinical guidelines for low mood, depression, anxiety, and the impact that chronic health has on your mind, body, and soul. So this is all backed by science, and this is all evidence-based that we're talking about here. So do the things that you've got that little bit of control over, even though you don't want to, even if it's just starting with fresh air and then go for a walk and then build it up. But yeah, you can't. Exercise is perfect. You're releasing all those beautiful endorphins that counterbalance the stress response. So yeah, totally agree with you.
And then if you're not hitting burnout, keep moving the body, because obviously that can stop you sort of progressing down this way. If you know somebody who is very like running around and all this, although you might just see them looking a bit stressed, and we all look a little stressed from day to days, encourage them. If you're going for a coffee, put in a takeaway cup, walk around the block. You don't have to suddenly do something absolutely crazy to actually make a difference.
Absolutely, 100%.
So
that's what I use.
Closing tip, or if you were what is the one thing that you would recommend for anybody who's starting to feel maybe a little stressed? Because obviously January is a blue month for many. It's long. I mean, I think the month's gone quick this year.
I can't believe it. It's crazy.
Yeah. But of course, winter months, there's stress, the cost of living, there's all sorts of different pressures on the world. People are feeling probably more stress at this time of year than any other. What is the one bit of advice that you would give?
So I would say, know your worth. You are worthy, because the voices and the stress and this is all going to start building up. So actually what I would do at this stage is deploy F1, which is fuck off, to that voice and that noise, and just take a step back. Take a step back and tune into your needs. That's the whole point of the fuck off. And it goes straight hand in hand with focus and breathe. Go back to the breath work and just recenter yourself. That keeps you from going into alert mode, react mode. It keeps you in respond mode, because you can still tap into the parts of your brain that are problem solving and, and just keeping it here. And the main thing is that your needs matter, full stop. and it's taking ownership of your needs, and reach out. If you're not okay, reach out. Talk to somebody. Allow that process to happen. Definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you heard it here first. Let out your inner warrior, princess, goddess, or whatever it is inside you. Gentlemen, you have one in you too, whether it's
Superman.
Superman, you Batman. We can have that debate on another time. But
Which
let
Marvel
out your
character?
inner super strength,
Yes.
whatever it is. Know you're
Yes.
worthy. If you're feeling that it's too much, stop, ask for help, but acknowledge how you're feeling and do the things that are going to benefit you. So even if it's just a small step, be willing to turn the device off, take a step back, and even just take those few minutes, because there's a reason all these things are there. So otherwise, if you want to connect with this goddess, then of course her links are dropped below, and of course you can follow more about her work and of course obviously her story. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you have enjoyed this Wellness WOWday.
Thank you, Liz.